And it's good to have you. Welcome
Thank
here
you.
on Morning Live.
Thank you. Thank you very
It must
much.
be a proud moment to actually see this now in print and so beautifully done. It's such a lovely looking book, it really is.
Yeah, no, we're terribly proud of all the work, and it was a lot of hard work that Amina put into the book.
Yeah.
And just very sad, as you said, that she's not here today to see the fruits of her labor, so to speak. But yes, it's a wonderful memoir to her life. Yeah.
Your mom, Amina, is mostly known for being a humble political and human rights activist. How would you describe her?
You know, my mother was my mother firstly and foremostly, so she was a mother to us. Obviously to the world out there, she was a much bigger something, and we recognized that quite early on. But Amina took her role as a mum, as a homemaker, as somebody that was interested in the home, and then from the home radiated out to broader society very seriously.
Yeah.
So she came across as a good mother.
Yeah. So she was a good mother.
She was a good mother.
So what we saw is the outside woman.
You saw the outside of her, which reflected inside, because I think, the one thing about Amina was her ability to straddle almost seamlessly different contexts and different people. So we had family whom she was incredibly close to and who were quite religious, whom she mingled and mixed with completely effortlessly. They were her other friends, they were her political people, they were people all around her, and she managed to seamlessly sort of straddle them. And the family was part of that.
Yeah.
We were part of that. We were an integral part of that.
I think what was so amazing about your mum was, that March, the 9th of August, 1956, heavily pregnant.
With my brother.
With your brother. She was pregnant with your brother.
My brother Khalid, yeah.
How much did women's rights mean to her? Did she continue until the end of her life, always saying that was of utmost importance to her?
I really do think that was the kernel, the bottom, the hinge that kept her going politically through the decades. And it started out really early in her life. It was very interesting. She was this young girl, as you say, came from a political background and family. She was the 9th child of 11. So it was a huge family. And very early on, she began to understand that the role of women, particularly in the Indian community at that point, what they needed was to become self-sufficient and self-sustaining. So one of her very early interventions was around giving women skills so that they could go out into the job market to earn their own way. And that's a profoundly feminist thing to be doing. And even though Amina, some people will debate whether she was, that era where the people were complete feminists, or with what they were exactly, how they interacted in the struggle, I think she had a complete, quite deep understanding of the role of women in society and their need to be able to stand independently of their men in order for them to be able to forge a way forward. So that was very much part of Amina, and it was a thread throughout her life. And the one thing that comes through in the book very strongly is her relationship with her husband, Yusuf, my dad, and her notion always that Yusuf gave her the freedom and the space to do what she wanted to do. And I think that's how she behaved, and that's how she saw the world around her.
What are some of the memories you have of her?
Well, some of my earliest memories of her is very feisty. She was diminutive. She was shorter than I am. So Amina was just like going on 5 foot. But that said nothing about her kind of inner strength. So there's one memory that sticks out. It was probably around about 1963. My father had been arrested. The security police from all over descended on our house. She's sitting in her bed, flanked by her 2 children. Some security policeman is looking for a letter that they claim my father had gotten out of jail. And what does Amina do? She bites the man.
Oh, you're joking.
And he screams in Afrikaans, "Sy het my gebite." So my mum was a strong character.
A feisty character.
A feisty character, like yeah. A spirited woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it hard growing up with a mother and basically having to share her like you did? Or did you have to share her?
Well, we had a very interesting childhood, because from quite early on we were sent away from home because my parents didn't really want us to go to racially segregated schools. So we were sent to Waterford, then we weren't given passports to go back to Waterford, and so we went to England. So we kind of lived a parallel life. We were away for a lot of the years. Also, the household was a strange household. My father was house arrested, my mother was banned. Technically they couldn't speak to each other, but obviously that wasn't going to happen. So they wanted to take us out of that situation and try to give us some normality elsewhere. So we were not always around, but when we got back to South Africa, I got back in the middle 70s, 1976, 1977, I came back to South Africa. I then began to realize the extent to which my mother had a life besides being a mother. It's quite an interesting for a child always. You know, you think of your mother purely as a maternal person, and then suddenly you realize that there are all sorts of other lives out there.
I want to talk to you all morning, but we're running out of time. But I cannot let you go without asking you a question about her friendship with Nelson Mandela. We've seen some wonderful photographs with her in Madiba. Was it normal to have him in your house?
Well, you know, when he came out of prison, you know, when he was released finally, he spent a lot of time in our household. And he was just the most wonderful man. And I think him and Amina shared a bond that went back from years ago, and that was rekindled and reunited when he came out. And yes, he spent a huge amount of time in our house in those years. It sort of tapered off towards the end. I think he, particularly sort of after his marriage to Grasa, then there was less of an interaction, but they still kept up a friendship, and I think she saw him relatively recently, actually.
Wonderful. Thank
you so much. Can I just say that on the 9th of March, which is this coming Saturday at 2 o'clock at the Wits Great Hall, with the Deputy President in attendance, we will be having a memorial for Amina.
Oh, wonderful.
Really, whoever feels that they would like to attend would be fantastic.
What time will that be taking place?
It's at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
And it should all be done and dusted by 4:30. So please come along.
So that's the 9th of March, 2 o'clock.
At the Wits Great Hall.
At the Wits Great Hall with the Deputy President. It's a memorial for Amina.
It's a memorial. It is a memorial. The books will be on sale at the memorial, but it's not a book launch. It's actually a memorial.
Actually a memorial. Well, this is the book.
And that is the book, indeed.
Countrywide. Go out there and get it. Thank you, Coco. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Let's take a break. We'll talk about Colombia and Russia.